All right, so the show that has people sitting in pods trying to find love is back, and we're reviewing it this season. That's right, Love is Blind is back for season 3, and Conversations with the Crawleys, we're going to take a stab at it. So, my name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, as I mentioned, Conversations with the Crawleys, and we do a lot of conversations about faith, family relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on some of the favorite shows that we're watching. This one is all about Love is Blind season 3. In this one, we're going to cover episodes 1 through 4 that just dropped on Netflix a couple of days ago. So, this is content that you enjoy. You already know what to do. Or if you're new around these parts, follow these instructions with me. That's right. Hit the subscribe button, hit like, request notifications.
And share.
And then we see you guys in the comments. We'll hang out with you there. Consider becoming a member and checking out the merch store. All right. So, y'all know...
Well, the premise. You want me to tell the premise?
Go ahead and tell the premise.
I'll tell the premise.
For those that haven't ever seen it or you want to see our take on it.
Right. Because I first saw the show, I was like, okay, let me look at it. Let me see if I can get into this show. Mm-hmm. So they actually go into a small room that has like a silhouette where you can see people through the wall, just the silhouette of them.
Right. Frosted glass or whatever.
Frosted glass. And then they have like a, couch, whatever. And one individual on either side come into the room and they can talk to somebody without ever seeing them.
Yep.
And from this perspective of just having conversations, they decide that they want to take the relationship to another level.
And get married.
It looks like it's between like 7 to 10 days.
Yes.
And it's like speed dating blindfolded.
And isolated.
Yes. Right, because they stay in a community of men and a community of women. And it's about, 16 men and women or 20
like
men
and
women. And they just go in and out of these pods without seeing the people. Only thing they know is their name. And they just talk and have these deep conversations, right? They're trying to find their
person.
Mate, their person. And so out of this, typically they get about...
I think last season was 6. This one they get 5.
Yeah, 5 couples. Yes. People who are going to say, yes, I want to go farther.
And then the rest of the show, as far as the remaining episodes,
they get to see each other.
Right. And kind of live together.
And also they get to meet the person maybe they've turned down.
Yep.
So... That's kind of
dynamics.
A lot of dynamics, but it is kind of like they call it a love experiment because it's Nick Lachey and his wife, right? Because there is difference when a lot of time there's an initial physical attraction to someone that would make you want to approach them or to say, yeah, I'll talk to this person because he saw them.
Or in this case, you have an emotional connection and an intellectual connection, and then there is no connection after that.
Right, there's no physical connection, right? Because until you meet the person.
Yeah.
So
there's, like I said, there's a lot of people, I should say, on both sides. We're going to focus on the ones that we know eventually become part of this love experiment. So, for example, there's Bartise, who is 25.
He's an accountant.
Right.
What I got.
And so he, one of his first dates is with Nancy.
Right.
And they both speak Spanish. I think she starts speaking Spanish, and he's like, pops right back at her with Spanish, and she's like, oh. And so they have a good connection at first, right? His parents are going through a divorce.
And he's a amateur bodybuilder.
Yes, so he's into fitness as well. But he also comes across Raven,
who's also into fitness. She's a Pilates instructor.
Yes.
And they seem to really connect on different levels, right? Because depending on the person and what you talk about, you connect in different ways.
Now, Raven has a deep, dark secret. Raven is a bottle girl. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
So she makes this big thing.
Right.
At first we were like, is she going to say that she's an exotic dancer?
Because at this point you want to be vulnerable. Like if somebody's going to pick you, they don't get to see you. Well, I got to share what I feel like some of my past relationships, I had issues with this person because of this. So she makes this long, drawn out, dramatic scene about, one of her jobs that she does. And then she says, I'm a bottle girl. Because I'm like, what, you're a stripper? You were like, what is she, an escort? Like, it's like, what's so deep?
Right.
And now, from my understanding from a bottle girl, they bring out at the club, they solicit for people to purchase bottles of drinks. And they do have a more showing, revealing outfit to say, less or more.
They're essentially a hostess.
Correct.
Dedicated to a specific area is why I take it, right?
That's the way I take it. And they bring out the bottle, like with the sparkler coming out of it, right? Now, I don't understand unless, you feel like, oh, my girl's being hit on by all these dudes. Because a lot of times they're going to be entertainers. Right. They're going to be people in sports world, athletes hitting on my girl. Because these bottles, like, we talking about hundreds of dollars.
Well, typically you're talking a couple thousand, depending upon where you at.
Depending on where you at, right?
The level of club you at determines that, right?
Then how much the bottle costs.
If you're at your uncle's little bar, yeah, we talking $100. If you at someplace a little more extravagant, yeah, you're talking
right. And I'm assuming they make a lot of money in tips.
Yeah, tips and commission, whatever.
So I'm assuming that's why she felt like her past relationships didn't like it.
I think for me, I think the thing that of her past that is a little telling, and she hinted around, was, I won't say that she was with a sugar daddy, but that's kind of the impression she gave, which was that she was like, he was older. She was like, if you're picking up what I'm laying down, he was older, and I had a lifestyle, and I still have some stuff of his.
And she's like, would you have a problem with me still having something of my ex, from my ex?
As long as it's not a house.
He's like, what are we talking? Like
jewelry, or jewelry? Are we talking?
She probably talking about a car.
Possibly.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe she still owns the vehicle that he purchased her. But he was like, well, as long as it's not a car, a house. Like, I couldn't see living in a house and it reminds you of your ex and stuff like that. So, which I feel like that makes sense. Right. So between the two of them, it's like he calls Nancy like home.
Right.
It's like family and familiar to him.
But Nancy also has some concerns about his age because he's like 6 years younger than her.
He's 25.
She's 31, something like that. So she's got some concerns about his age. I don't think that they're valid concerns, if you will.
No.
Especially if he's not immature, right? Correct. If he's 25 and acts like he's 18, I get that. Correct. But he didn't come off as immature. So
no, he didn't come off immature. But there are feelings women have about dating someone younger than them.
True.
It's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of a love triangle there is Bartise with Nancy and Raven. Nancy has another person that she's connecting with by the name of Andrew.
Correct.
And Andrew is a consultant, but Andrew, in my opinion, just talks to hear himself talk. Y'all let us know what you think, because Andrew is just, I've done this, I've traveled here, what have you. So Andrew talks a lot about his accomplishments.
Right. To me, he sounds very superficial. He sounds shallow. Because I don't, in any of the conversations, I don't remember him talking about his family or anything. I don't know if they cut those scenes out. Again, we do know that this is edited.
Right.
But they are portraying him is that he tells about all these lavish getaways and travel. And she's like, okay, when you have kids, you got to settle down.
Right.
And be with one person.
Right.
Are you going to get bored? Like, if you talking about you in the jungle, and then from the jungle, then you in Asia, and all these other different explorations that you're doing, how do you have time for a family to settle down?
Yeah.
And you haven't shown me anything about how family is important to you. It just seems so superficial.
Yes.
And like she said, people have to get back to the real world. And Nancy seemed very level-headed.
Yes.
For, any other woman, like ready for love. She's like, what she did in the past didn't seem to work well. The guy had to be like 33 years old, no kids, right? So she's talking about having all these checklists of things that hasn't worked for her in the past. So her is trying to get outside of the box.
And be open to something that may be outside of her box that she's created for herself.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm just trying to map. So we got Bartise, who's feeling Nancy. Nancy's feeling Andrew. On the other side, Raven is also having a connection with SK.
Right. His name is
SK.
S
to the K.
S to the K. So
that's what he says his name is. He's Nigerian.
And he's a data engineer. So we could tell that's well off. Normally engineers make pretty decent, especially in the tech world.
Yeah.
So again, for him being Nigerian, it's the way that they have to feel like they handle themselves and present themselves.
Right.
So he says that he likes Raven because of her intellect. And they have very intelligent conversations and deep. And he feels like Raven really would support him in his endeavor. He shares with Raven that his dad is a polygamist.
Yes. So and part of the
Nigerian
back in Nigeria, and some even
he has two wives.
Yep.
Yeah, he got 2 wives, and so but he's like, I'm letting you know, I've never thought in my life trying to have 2 women at the same time, and I'm not interested in that.
At least until I get the first one, and after that,
then it's on.
And
then he's like, I believe in equality where my background and my culture would say something different.
Right.
So he's trying to lay it out like, look, yes, I am I am Nigerian, but some of the culture I decide not to take on for myself, right? I'm living in America, and so I want my wife to work.
Yes.
And I want her to feel independent and that she could take care of herself, but together we could be a power couple.
Yes.
They also, between Raven and SK, allude to her not being open or being vulnerable and how it takes her a while to warm up to people is what I gathered.
Yes.
And that he's willing to love her the way she needs to be loved.
Right.
And so that is what excites her about SK.
Yes. Now, as we move on with this little triangle, if you will. So Bartise is stuck between Nancy and Raven. And he kind of shoots his shot. He kind of has a conversation first with Raven. But Raven, he's telling something really personal as far as how his parents are getting to the point where they're divorcing. So he's telling this whole story. And remember, you can't see what's happening on the other side, but you can hear what's happening. And he hears Raven doing jumping jacks. You see her doing jumping jacks. She's stretching.
This girl doing every exercise, like 30 minutes out of her time cannot be without her exercise.
While he's talking.
So he hears this, and he's a little put off. He's like, I'm sharing my heart, and you're doing jumping jacks right now. So, which anybody would be put off. First of all, I can't see you.
Right.
So it's very important to pay attention.
Right.
Because I can't see you. It's not like you could give me body language. I know that, whatever. And I'm assuming if I'm telling you this and I'm letting you know by my voice, this is very personal. And I feel like this is something I'm being vulnerable about.
Yep.
That in my face, you wouldn't do jumping jacks. So I would expect, even though there's a wall here, you wouldn't be doing jumping jacks.
Yeah.
So he gets put off by that. He was like, you know what?
I got you. Never mind.
So
he then shoots his shot with Nancy. And Nancy's like, I hear you, but I'm torn.
She's like, I got 2 people I need to decide on. So it's been nice, but all this is cute. Everything you're saying is cute. But let me figure this out and I'll get back to you.
And that's what she does. She does investigate a little more with Andrew. And we're sitting there concerned. We're like, please don't tell me you've fallen for this. Please don't tell us
you gotta listen, because he just goes on and on about him traveling, which is not a problem if you make it more personable. But when someone is in their monologue about their travel and it's very so superficial,
it's like he's auditioning for the most interesting man in the world.
Right. I was like, I would have been immediately turned off because okay, you're very versed. You travel. Cool. But when I'm not soliciting this, and this is all I'm getting, I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested, dude.
Yeah. So long story short, Nancy comes to a realization, right?
Yeah.
And Andrew actually proposes to her.
Right.
Andrew gets down on one knee.
Right.
And asks. And on the other side, she's like, yeah.
No, thank you.
But no.
She's. I need to live in the real world. I can see us together in fantasy land, but people gotta live in
fantasy land.
People gotta live in the real world.
So she shoots him down.
Yeah. He
goes out. Now here's how you know that he's a pain. I'll just say that. I'll be nice. He's got problems. So they're doing, like they always do. They're doing, kind of the producer interview, what have you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how do you feel about this? And he's like, wait, hold on. He pulls out his bottle of
He comes like sad,
yes.
like he's distraught.
And then he pulls out his little bottle of like eye wash or whatever, Visine or whatever, puts it in his eyes and gets it so that there's tears falling out of his eyes.
Yeah, as he starts, how disappointed he is. I'm like, dude, if you're here so that you can become an actor, and if you needed, some video so that you could give to your agent,
so that you go on the next Tyler Perry movie,
because that's kind of how dramatic.
That's how dramatic it was.
That's how dramatic it was.
Yeah.
I was even more off-putting that you really didn't care about this person.
Okay.
But you wanted to pretend because it seems so over the top, superficial. It was just like, you're making me want to vomit.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah. So Nancy does realize that she is more for Bartise. Mm-hmm. And so her and Bartise do become engaged. Mm-hmm. Okay.
He gets on one knee.
On the other side, Raven, after Bartise is kind of like, I'm not really feeling you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be.
Raven shifts more, of course, her attention towards SK. Mm-hmm. Now, in all honesty, I don't know if she's really, truly feeling SK. We'll have to kind of go into that and figure that a little more. Mm-hmm. I think that, and a part of this, I think, and we'll talk about another person.
She's
I think some of these
closed off.
Yeah, I think some of these folks are choosing what's available to them because they want to continue forward. Right. Speaking of, there is Colleen, and so SK and long story short, SK and Raven become a couple as well.
Correct.
So now we've got two couples, and we recognize we're doing them kind of out of order, but Bartise and Nancy are a couple. Mm-hmm. SK and Raven are a couple.
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
So now Colleen. So Colleen is a ballerina.
And she makes sure everybody knows that she's a ballerina.
By the way, I don't know if you caught that 10 seconds ago, but Colleen is a ballerina.
She makes sure everybody that she comes in contact in the pods, because they can't see her.
Wait, what is she again?
A ballerina.
Okay, she's a ballerina.
I didn't know that men was into ballerinas. Is that a thing? Is there? I get it.
I think that there's a demographic that may be more into that than others. I'm just gonna say.
I don't know.
I think there's a demographic that
is it like a video vixen? Is it supposed to be like in that category?
Yeah. So there's a demographic that is more into the ballerina / gymnast.
Oh, okay.
There's that demographic,
and then there's a demographic that wants the video vixen.
Right. That want the
video girl
wants something a little more than.
Okay. So trying to get in perspective why this is so important.
A little more yams, if you will.
That's why people share this information with men. So
she knows her demographics.
She knows her demographics. And so we're like, okay, so she meets
Brennan is the first one. Yes.
Brennan, and they're talking and I guess they were having decent conversation. Nothing major over the top.
Right.
But we get to a point when Brennan meets Alexa. And with Alexa, they're foodies. They love food. She is Jewish. He's European. I call him European. And so, but they find they have so much in common.
Right.
And so Brennan tells Colleen,
like, keep your ballet shoes on, because
girl, I don't know if your feet messed up or not.
That's the other thing.
Because ballerina,
their
feet should be. If you are truly a ballerina, like doing this full time, your feet are jacked. So, but I see her in a lot of sandals. So I don't know. I'm the suspect. But anywho, he said bye-bye.
She might have done ballerina back in 5th grade and got her tutu still someplace and like, I'm still a ballerina.
Because I was like, I don't know ballerinas sharing their feet. You're missing toenails and all kind of stuff. Okay. So, but anywho, he tells her, Colleen, you ain't the one. I'm going to be up front. I ain't going to even hold you up any longer. You messing my pod time up with my girl, because me and Alexa, we're it. Have a good life.
Yep.
Right? So she comes out the store. Oh, my God, he rejected me. I don't know how long you talked to this guy. Maybe 2 days, 3 days tops.
Because
you don't have any sense of time.
Right. Because Brennan and Alexa were actually the first couple that we saw that actually got engaged and kind of were off the table.
Yeah.
But yes, she is like, she's, oh my goodness, he rejected me.
He rejected me. Okay, let me go on to the next dude.
Right.
So here's Cole.
Cole is the next one.
Comes in, and Cole says that he's ready to get married. He's 25.
He's something like that. He's
24, 25. He's been married before for 4 months. He was married before for 4 months. Yeah, Cole's 26.
Okay,
and he doesn't date nurses.
Yes.
I don't know what it is about nurses. There was someone that initially he met, and he says, she's like, what do you do? I'm a nurse. I don't date nurses. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's the time, how long. Okay, so he don't date nurses, and then he meets
If
Colleen.
that's your deal breaker, that she's a nurse,
She's a nurse. Okay. And so he's at the point where he's like, you know what? This is fun. We're bantering back and forth. We're laughing and having a good time. But I need to go deeper.
Let's go deeper.
She said, what's deep? You know, like deeper, like deeper in relationship.
Who are you really?
Let's
what are
talk
your
about
hopes?
your
What
emotions.
are your dreams, your fears?
Can you be vulnerable to me? Oh, I don't do that. I don't do deep.
I just want to have fun. I just like to laugh all the time with my person.
He's like, what? What you mean you don't do deep? Well, I'm not shallow. This is what she's saying. I'm not shallow, but I don't do deep. He's like, well, in a relationship, at some point,
you can't just live off of just the jokes all the time.
You got to be deep. We can't be talking about the weather and just surface stuff. At some point, you're going to get...
the fact that you're a ballerina.
All day.
And I don't know... She may not understand what deep means.
She don't know what shallow means.
Or what shallow means. But you're either deep or you're shallow. You go into water. You either go into the shallow water.
And just enough to put your feet in.
You know, or maybe just you get up to your shoulders, your neck. Or you get into deep water where you got to actually tread to stay afloat. He's looking for a relationship that he wants to keep things afloat, but knows that if he wants to dive down a little deeper, he can dive down. She's like, no, I just want to get my feet wet in this relationship thing. And
he's like, it's just silence in heaven for 24 hours, just silence. So it becomes very awkward. And she's like, okay, bye. Because he's like, yeah, I can't do that. You have to get deep at some point.
Because he's like, I can't see getting on my knee.
Oh, my God.
Because listen, him getting on his knee is going deeper than she wants to go.
True that. And he was like, are you ready to get married? Like, are you sure you're ready to get into this relationship? And so...
And she says, maybe I am shallow, but I don't think I am.
Okay.
Baby girl.
Okay. All righty. So she goes back, because I think this is important. So she goes back, crying again the second time. And they probably all got rid of her all in the same day. Because, again, I believe there's only 2 or 3 days passed.
They were going back to back.
And so, oh, my God. Oh, nobody wants me. And they're like, well, what happened this time? What you do? And obviously, she ain't owning up to anything. Other than they think I'm shallow. And they are just dumping me. And not saying, well... At this point in my time in my life, I don't want to really open up and be a vulnerable person. Just be honest. And this is why they're not picking me. But see, doing that would mean you would have to self-evaluate.
Which means you're getting a little deep with yourself.
And being self-aware where you are, right? Which she doesn't want to do.
No.
So that's why 2 dudes are gone.
Yep.
Okay?
Now, Cole does, he again wants to go deep, but he's got options too.
Yes.
So Cole is connecting with
Zanab.
And Zanab is fine with going deep. They get into some good conversations.
She's a stewardess.
She's like, we can travel, we can go here, we can go there, we can do all these things. But she answers questions and asks questions of him. They both also have a strong faith.
Yes, right? Faith in God is what they said.
I think he was the one that's like, we can pray together. And for her, that was like, the fact that you brought that up was a lot for her.
Yeah, she said that. She's like, you know what? I even prayed for you last night. He said, what? You prayed for me without me asking for prayer?
She was casting the shallowness of Colleen off of him.
Oh my God.
I bind that shallow demon off of you right now in the name.
Oh, any woman that's going to pray.
Hey.
You need to pray with women in your life.
Hey.
So he was like, I'm going to pick you, girl. Because we're matching on so many different levels. And I think this is going to be perfect. Okay. So he proposes.
So that's another couple now. So now we've got, just in review, we've got Bartise and Nancy.
Yep.
We've got SK and Raven. We have Brennan and Alexa. And now we have Colleen and Zanab.
So that's 4.
That's 4.
Yep.
So now Colleen she's desperate to find love.
She's like, I'm give it one more go of it.
Give it one more ballerina try.
So we're going to go back in the pods and see what sucker I can pick up on this last round.
She said that they had a conversation early on, and she was like, but now all of a sudden, maybe I was overlooked. Maybe he's the one. Maybe.
I should have gave him that really good opportunity.
I'll plie myself back into the pod. And
I like it. That's good. I like it. Good job, babe.
Listen, I know a little something every now and then.
So she goes in and she starts talking and, just in case they mention something, this is not who I am. I feel like there's something I have to give. There's just something that I'm just waiting for someone to pick up on enough just to pick me. Pick me.
In other words, pick me vibes is what she was giving off the entire
time.
Pick
me. And Matt, he had married his
high school sweetheart. They were married 10 years. Like literally, they graduated from high school and then... No, they weren't married 10 years. It's been 10 years since they were married.
No. They were married 10 years. They got married when they're 18 and he's 24.
So he couldn't be married 10 years.
Okay. So how long were they married?
I can't remember how long, but they were married. Basically, the main thing is that he got married
to his high school
sweetheart.
Right.
She cheated on him.
Yes.
And then he went back and they were trying to maybe resolve some things. And they had set up a date to talk. And she calls him, like, I ain't going to make it.
Or she's like, before you come.
The EPT said,
the clear.
It gave me two lines to let me know I'm fully pregnant.
Okay. By the other dude, he's like, gone.
He's like, cool.
Bye. I could try to make it work, but now you're going to bring in somebody else's baby? You got to be a certain man.
Nah. And he ain't the one. He ain't the one.
He wasn't. He's like,
and again, let's just be honest. They probably didn't have the history or the strength to go beyond that either. So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So, but he shares that with her, which I think, in my opinion, just looking at some of the trailer pieces, I think some of that will play into him and Colleen, simply because Colleen, she just trying to find something. So long story short, Colleen and Matt ask for Colleen to marry him, and she says yes.
Because they're in love. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I can't imagine my life without you. I love you.
So, I feel like there's always a stronger connection emotionally that you have with someone than you physically have with someone.
Yep.
And so it does heighten your feelings. You're also in the pod. You're hearing about a lot of love. So I think a lot of this can be more psychological in some senses. Now, I'm not going to take anything from them because I know within 2 weeks we were telling each other that we loved each other.
Right.
But we didn't get married 4 weeks later either.
Right, we got married a year and a half later. In fact,
a year and a half later.
Go check out the How We Met video. I'll link it up there. It's the story of Kevin and Tarsha and how we met.
Yep. So I'm not taking away that could it be quick? Could it be in 2 weeks you find like you I can love this person. Wow. Everything that they're sharing with me without me seeing them would say, this is the person I would want to spend my life with. So I'm not going to take away from that. But at the same time, you have to understand where you are in life and to make those decisions, right? And a lot of times we can make better decisions when we don't see things and we're saying, I want this because this is what I need in my life.
Right.
Because when we see things, we desire things we should never have. And then once we have them, we say we should have never asked for them.
Yep.
So I think for these couples, understanding how we work in an intellectual thing and how our sight, our hearing, our smell all plays into it and plays in it, which I think is a very interesting. I think that's what interested me about it, as we're going to see in the next coming episodes. Now they have to place the voice and emotionally what they were attached to the actual physical body of that person that they now get to meet.
So yeah, all the couples kind of go to their next phase, and we'll talk about that in the next video. But we now have our 5 couples. We've got, again, just as a review, we've got SK and Raven. We've got Bartise and Nancy. We've got we've got Colleen and Matt. We have Zanab and Cole, and we have Brennan and Alexa. So those are our 5. Definitely make sure you're sticking around, making sure that you are subscribed and hitting notifications, because as the episodes drop, we'll have out more. In fact, we're going to have another video shortly after this one where we'll start digging into the dates that they have once they're together. All right, that's it for this one. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.